This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and today we have an AudioPlus model AV-15TX classroom record player from 1984. I've never actually had my hands on one of these models, but I've seen them on eBay, and the ones that I've seen always had a BSR drive mechanism with a plastic platter. Well, this one's a little bit better. It has a General Industries drive mechanism with the metal platter. And we have our nice metal static tone arm with the standard 89T PowerPoint cartridge. I lucked up on this at a good price. And when I can get these cheap, I always pick them up. It works, but it's going to need the usual restoration work if it's expected to last long term. The amplifier is a little IC based amp, sort of wimpy, and we have a front mounted 4x6 speaker, but it seems to sound pretty good. And yes, this is an old beat up record. I wouldn't be handling a nice record like this. Now let's see if I can just get it on the spindle. There we go.
My shoes at the door. Then from the front room I heard.
That's it, wide open, so it is a little bit on the weak side for a classroom record player. But we'll go over the amplifier and make sure that it's healthy, and if we can squeeze a little more gain out of it, we will.
Mom was
Here's our
with
pause control. Now, this set doesn't have a braking system. Most classroom record players with a pause control have a brake that will stop the turntable instantly, as well as pull the idler wheel back. Well, this one's not that complex. It's just simply a switch in the motor circuit to kill power to the motor, and that's it. Alright, let's open this up and see what we've got to work with. Here's the underside of the chassis. Our motor has a secondary winding on it to provide a low AC voltage for the amplifier. And we have a couple of power resistors here that they're using for a voltage divider. Apparently the output of this motor is still too much for this little amp board, so they're using these resistors to drop the voltage down further. We have a nice big Sprague atom capacitor here, which is impressive. And here's our little amp module with the little single integrated circuit. Now, one thing I've noticed is models such as the Hamilton record players that use basically the same output IC, those have an additional transistor ahead of the IC that they're using for a driver stage. Well, this one does not have that. They're feeding the cartridge directly into the IC, so that may be why the audio is a tad bit weaker. But we'll look at this and see if there's anything I can do to squeeze a little more gain out of it. Okay, I really don't see anything I can do to the amp to give it any more gain. That's just the way it was designed. Now, if this was built on a hand-wired chassis instead of a PC board, it would be easier for me to add something, but I think I'll just leave well enough alone. It's not too bad.
Your dark eyes on you,
and we'll now move on to the mechanical end. You can see it was a little slow to start whenever I took it out of pause mode. But what do you know, here's another one with the 16 RPM portion of the shaft that's bent. I don't know what happens to these, but I've had my hands on several of these that were that way. The only thing I can come up with is these motor mounting grommets become weak, and during shipment the motor bounces up and down and bangs against the platter. It's the only thing I can come up with. Now, I can try to straighten this, but it's usually not very successful. It either usually ends up breaking off, or it doesn't, or I can't straighten it out completely, but I'll try.
And yet,
okay, we have the drive mechanism all cleaned and lubricated. I straightened this the best I could. It's not perfect. There might be a little bit of wow and flutter on 16 RPM,
how can that be?
but nobody really uses 16 RPM that much. But if a record player has it, I still would like it to work. And yeah, while we're working on this, we have
allow this to happen.
We have President Obumfuzzle on TV using yet another tragedy to
those families.
support his own political agenda of grabbing everyone's gun.
Clearly an upset President Obama this afternoon at the White House.
I've never gone along with that because a crook's going to have a gun. I don't care how many laws are in place. It'll be the honest, law-abiding citizens that will be sitting ducks.
World News Tonight is coming up next.
Yeah, enough on that.
On this shooting, for those of you in the
turn this off. Tired of hearing it. So let's get back to the record player. But I blame the problems in this country not on the excessive amount of guns, but on the fact that this country has morally gone down the toilet over the past 40 or 50 years. Many of our parents are not teaching our kids morals and right from wrong. Instead, they're teaching our children it's about you and nobody else matters. Our educational system is teaching our children that everyone's a winner. You know, there's no such thing as a loser. Everyone's a winner. Everybody's on the same playing field. And to me, that's bull crap. I can tell you there's been lots of times in my life that I've lost, and I'm very thankful for that because it taught me to do better next time, and I learned lessons from those experiences. You don't learn lessons from being made a winner regardless of what you do. And then when things don't go your way, then, you know, in your mind it's perfectly okay to kill someone. Oh yeah, I had a bad childhood, I can't get a girlfriend. Well, guess what? There's millions of people like that. But we don't go shooting people because of it. We assess our problems and we deal with them legally. There we go. We have plenty of torque. Our drive mechanism is not as noisy now.
You ask why my funk is so long? They call me the long song.
Two men are giving me gold, hanging out the sweet thing, bubbly a diamond ring, about the 40 carats I had sold. 13 men and me, the only gal in town. There were 13 men and me, the only gal around.
Here we are with a 78 RPM record. These types of record players are especially popular among collectors of 78 RPM records because they're about the best money, value for the money as far as playing old 78s. Okay, that ought to about do it. The AudioPlus record player from 1984 ought to be good for another 30 plus years. Thanks for watching and more to come later.